Hello everyone, and welcome to the Dice Commando YouTube channel. I'm Andrew, with you here as always. This is the Commando Cast, a video cast about all things Star Wars Destiny. This video and others like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. Please show your support with a like and subscribe, and be sure to hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any new videos. If you want to get involved with the channel, consider becoming a channel member. There are many benefits to channel membership, including access to our Discord, exclusive deck tech and strategy videos, and the opportunity to help create channel content. I want to sincerely thank all our channel members, as I truly couldn't do this without your support. You guys rock. Go Commando. This set is shaping up to be an absolute doozy. ARH6 Display of Power is only about 2 weeks away, and spoilers are raining from the heavens. So let's take a quick break away from Andor. What a great show, right? And Tales of the Jedi, which is its own little gem, and let's talk spoilers.
Oh no, Mom, you got that. Oh no. No, stab me. No. No. Oh.
IRL Star Wars Destiny comes to Toronto. On Saturday, January 21st, 2023, Matthew Padula, aka Liquid Snake, is hosting a renewed Prime event at 401 Games, Toys, and Sports Card. The event starts at 1200 local time. For more information, see their Facebook event, which is linked in the description of this video. If you're in the Toronto area or want to travel, December 3rd is your day to roll some dice. Hey there, Star Wars Destiny folks. Welcome back to Dice Commando and the Commando Cast. Thank you guys for checking in as always. And you know what? Happy Destiny Friday. So for me, as of the time of shooting this, it is Thursday afternoon going into a 3-day holiday weekend. All my meetings are done. We've got ARH6 spoilers dropping from the sky. So I thought, hey, let's have a beer and chat some Destiny. Gotta love it, folks. Now, if you were curious, by the way, this is the cold IPA from Widmer Brothers Brewing here in Portland. It's pretty decent. I haven't been a fan of the recent hazy trend over the last couple of years, but this cold IPA trend I might be able to get on board with. We're not here to talk beer. We're here to talk Destiny now, aren't we? So, also real quick, it is rush hour, and I kind of live on the edge of suburbia and the country, so there's a good chance we're going to get blasted by some truck. So apologies in advance. It's gonna, it'll be fine. We'll talk through it. Now, another note, you guys saw the ad. I've been pumping that for the last couple of weeks for Snake's tourney up in Toronto. It was going to be coming in December. It has now been moved to January, right? That has been moved such as to not conflict with the ARH release party. That was kind of a really unfortunate scheduling conflict. Hopefully it can be avoided in the future. But, it is what it is. So thank you, Snake, for keeping things going for IRL play. And I will be running that reminder for you guys all the way up until that tournament. So without further ado, all the Destiny spoilers to date, as of the time of shooting, are what we're going through today. But of course, what's the first rule of spoiler vids? The minute you shoot it, even while you're shooting it, they're probably dropping another literally right now. So I guess you're welcome for the spoilers that just dropped. So cheers. Actually, yeah, cheers. All right, but let's get into this. You will note the battlefield is actually sideways because otherwise the stuff gets, right, it moves the screen. That's the way the casting works, but I will overlay it correctly. So starting from the very beginning, right, as I said, we're plowing through all this. We'll kind of skip over the ones that I had done because that was last week. But Display of Power, title for the set, thought it was appropriate to open with this one. Spot a blue character and an exhaust and upgrade you control, right? So you have to, spot you have to control, and exhaust and upgrade you control to roll that upgrades die into your pool, right? So obviously it's better with bigger upgrades. So hold that beer. Welcome to Force Sense. So we're losing the big forms, right? We lose Shen. That's been a big staple. And I don't expect that to get reprinted. None of the other forms have been. It's a very strong card. So I think we're losing Shen. And Force Sense is there to back it up. If you really think about it in terms of upgrades, there's not a ton of value in reprinting upgrades or relegalizing the upgrades, because they're so, I think, can be done differently, slightly, right? So anyway, 4 cents, 3 melee, 2 shield, 2 resource, special, blue character only. You'd expect that. It is not unique though, right? So that's interesting. After you play this upgrade, you may remove a die. So that's really good. Talk about that in a second. Then specials, resolve a die as if it were showing a reroll, yours or an opponent's. Thank you for doing that, right? This is that the Echo guys, right? They really, whether they were responsible for this or not, right? Their whole team, the whole philosophy. I really appreciate that. We didn't used to have that philosophy where we tried to put extra text in to clarify things. I really appreciate what we see, that shift we've seen over the last 3 sets. I think we all need to really appreciate that and give them credit for that. Little stuff like that, I think, really matters in terms of the quality of the quote-unquote product. So, thank you. You may exhaust this up. So let's just start rewriting again because I interrupted. Resolve a die as if it were showing a reroll. You may exhaust this upgrade to reroll this die instead of removing it. So you get to do it once, right? That's, again, very good learning from mistakes that have happened in FFG's past. I think this is a really solid upgrade. Now, after you play this upgrade, you may remove a die, right? And this is a 4-drop, not unique. So where I'm going on this is a perfect, you run this 2 of, you overwrite, right? You run probably a bunch of 2s with this. I would think that would be what you'd want to do. And then you could, have a 2 down, and then 4 cents says it kind of counts as a removal. So that, not kind of, it does count as a removal. So you don't feel horrible about spending your 2 resources. 2 resources is a different thing these days than it used to be, of course. But I think this is really solid. You get a big blue who you can keep alive with 2 of these on it. That's rough, right? No blanks. You don't have to worry about Inquisitor stuff. Could run this with Inquisitor, I suppose. But I like the tricks. I do like it. So good card. Very good card, I think. And again, remember, this is neutral. This is not Darth Vader only. It'll look better on Darth Vader, but it's not Darth Vader only or anything like that, right? Oh, and also did see that other thing where it looks like Luke is coming in this. So, all right, this one I really like. So this is Maul from the Shadows. This is Crime Lord Maul, right? This is 13 health, villain, of course. Yellow. What? Yellow. Character leader Sith. Let's read him first. After setup, this character gains blue. All right, so that is a really, and we've been talking about multicolor. How would multicolor work? We've been talking about that for years, right? In the speculation world. I think this is actually, I had never thought about this one, but I think this is a really smart way to do it because it doesn't affect your deck building, right? It's after setup, so your deck still has to contain. So if you were him with a yellow character, you could only contain yellow cards. I think it's a really smart, really inventive way to do it. It also, in many aspects, forces you to pair him with a blue. It doesn't force you to, but if you want to take advantage of the fact that he's blue, then you need to do that, right? Which I think is really inventive. And I kind of give him a lot of props for the design on this, right? So again, I don't know in the end how good this guy's going to end up being, where he'll fall in the meta, but this is a very well-designed card just because of that alone, right? So character, leader Sith, leader's big. Leader on yellow's big, okay? Especially, well, I don't know as much in villain, but either way. So after you deal damage to one of your characters for the first time each action phase, you may draw a card that pairs very well with his 2 discard for 1 indirect. There are other characters out there that deal indirect to you on resolution. Power action, deal indirect damage to an opponent equal to the difference in the number of cards in your hands to a maximum of 4. That's also very creative. There was that card, what was it? There was a Quinlan Voss deck like way back in the day, EAW, where you tried to draw a bunch of stuff and then Quinlan special, I think, to hit him for it. It was fun. It was never super effective. This one will, if you play it right, fair enough. Get out there, threaten, they have to spend. But so we'll see how effective that one ends up being. You're probably never going to effectively hit them for more than 1 or 2. If you're doing your discard, sure, but very interesting, right? So 2 melee, 1 discard, 2 discard for an indirect, a resource, and a blank. So that's not, it's very good, right? That's like Jyn Erso level, right? Minus the, indirect thing. That's like Jyn Erso level die. 17 points, okay, right? Be very interesting to see. And by okay, I'm not downplaying. I think this is a very interesting card. I really like the design here. I'm going to try this out. You guys know I like Maul. But it's a very, from a functional standpoint, traditionally when we think about Maul, it's dealing damage to two characters, right? He has a dual blade lightsaber. That's his design space. This is a very disruptive crime lord Maul. And I think that it's very, very cool. Okay, moving on to Imbo. I do love this Stoic Cuzo. 12 health, neutral yellow, 12-15. That is smashable now, isn't it, folks? This guy's cool. Character bounty hunter, 2 gun, 1 melee, 2 disrupt, a resource, and a blank. Before Imbo takes damage, you may resolve one of his character dice as if it were showing a shield. Doesn't matter what it's showing. It's not damage die, anything like that. You can just get a shield. That's pretty neat. I think that's supposed to represent his hat. I do have to wonder if we'll get a hat upgrade, although it probably would have come with him. That's generally the way they do spoilers, is they throw out a character, they throw something sexy with it, and then some sort of related event. So I don't think we're going to get his hat. Probably, it would be kind of funny to have like Maul wearing Imbo's hat or something. Like, you could do that then, but either way. Power action, remove this die showing damage against a character with a bounty on it, increasing its value by 1. So I think that's where the majority obviously his ability to resolve his die shield is pretty cool. But his power action, I think, is where most of the conversation, if you will, revolves around, because it really, I think, dictates a lot of his pairings. Because if you're going to be running bounties, honestly, you want to be running him with someone else who wants to be taking advantage of bounties, right? I think that's pretty logical there. So you really have to look at the bounty, not only just other bounty hunters, but you have to look at running bounty hunters of the correct faction, right? I'd have to pull up, Dead or Alive still a thing. You'd have to pull up and look. I don't know that actually any of them out there are still villain anymore, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But, yeah, that's interesting. You just have to look at, we're not going to do it right now, but you can go look at the faction of those and see how that dictates your choices. All right, military strategist. I love this card. This is 2 upgrade title, red character only, with a plus gun, plus melee, plus indirect, a focus, a discard, and a resource. So it's a 2 with no blanks, but the damage sides are modifiers, which I think really, I think that's like having a 1-drop with no blanks. Generally, your 1-drops have 2 blanks, so having a 1-drop with no blanks would be stupid. But it makes up a lot of that, having no blanks being modifiers. So I think this works really well. Then the power actions deal indirect to an opponent equal to the number of different damage symbols showing on your dice. So you are at least, I guess you're not guaranteed 1, but in most cases you're going to get 1 or 2. Right, most cases you're going to get 1 or 2. Because it has to be damage symbols, right? So you're capped at 3, right? But I think this is really interesting because you can get it out, do it, re-roll. It's not game breaking, and by break, it's not like a game changing, right? Even if you hit for 3, that's not huge, right? But again, it's a 2-drop that you can throw down. Probably this serves as overwrite fodder in many cases. I think all the black sides on here are good. This is probably an upgrade that should be like 1.8 maybe, but I think putting it at 2 was the right thing to do just because of the upside. Because if for some reason you were able to hit them for 3 indirect per round with this, that would obviously not be okay for a 1.5. For a 1-drop, obviously it wouldn't be okay. No one's arguing this to be 1-drop, but mathematically I think it's probably a little overvalued, but I think that if it was lower, it wouldn't work, right? So I think it's the right value because you have to have numbers, right? All right, Wooher. So, do you guys remember that time that Poe Dameron and BB-8 rolled into the Mos Eisley Cantina and Wooher told BB-8 to get out? Well, that's what's happening here, right? So, Wooher screwed this guy's die, whatever. Well, it is relevant because it's special, I suppose, but Charm, okay, that's a thing. And then a special is choose and do 2 of the following. Heal a damage, that's good. Remove a droid die, that's good. Gain 1 resource, that works for me, okay? This guy's pretty good. Now, 2 focus, he's a 2... This is good, right? Plus, you can very clearly see that I think they're starting to take maybe not. We'll see what the rest of the set looks like. But we talked a lot in the past about how supports really need to have an identity. They either need to be a support or they need to be a damage dealer. I think this guy really fits into that, right? I think in many sets we've seen in the past, this guy might have had a 2 indirect or something like that. So giving him the focus is I kind of like the focus too, because he's the bartender, right? And bartender's like, hey, let's have a chat, son, or whatever, whatever they do, right? Sarsaparilla, and that's like Old West, but hey, Star Wars is kind of Old West, so just stay with me, whatever. Just humor me. All right, so 2 focus, 1 disrupt, fine. 2 discard for a resource, probably, maybe worth it, I don't know. 2 discard for, traditionally in the last set with the indirects, we've seen the 2 discard be paired with the indirect costs. But, resource is what it is. Special blank. So very interesting there. It's just remove a droid dice, so it's not like it blows BB-8 up. So I guess my joke didn't land as well, but you guys kind of get the idea. BB-8's just the one we see a lot. That's why I thought about that. All right, so Hera we talked about in my spoiler last week. Thank you guys for watching and commenting on that. I do appreciate it. It always helps the algorithms and other people to find Destiny. So speaking of, let's give some comments below, right? Let's boost those Destiny vids. I think she's really good. I've been theory crafting with her quite a bit. I've got some videos in the pipeline for when I want to see once we see the full set on what we can do with her. I really like her with Zori, right? I think that's going to be really cool. So I think that's going to be really neat. So we'll see what gets done there. Pull out some piloting decks. Remember, we lose some piloting tricks in terms of like eject and all that stuff. I suspect the sale's coming back. Like it probably should come back. So I'm making that assumption. I have no inside info on that. I would assume that'll come back. But we will see here when they release their list. Hera's prototype. Speaking of BB-1, actually, like this is all pretty good way to get rid of BB-1. 2 now isn't. Oh, well, not that, but I mean Hera, right? So that's trade to die for BB-1. That actually seems pretty good. Hera's this B-wing is freaking awesome. I love this B-wing. It's really good. It's really, really good. Okay, the Calicori opening up the Twi'lek tribal. Very, very strong. Again, I don't want to spend too much of your time on this, but seems pretty decent. And then Reckless Advance, I had kind of tripped over myself on this one, so just to clarify, right, this does not include any vehicle dice that come in. It wouldn't by rule anyway, because piloting is an after effect, and you'd have to complete this card. But yeah, it specifically says character upgrade dice, so it actually removes, kind of speaks, I think, maybe intentionally or unintentionally, it speaks to what I was talking about before, where I think they've done a historically best job. Good job. I'm saying best, but I think they've done a very good job compared to historically what we've seen of explaining things as they go through, and that's something that I'm really excited to see going forward. So nice job, folks. All right, Beskar Hammer. So 2-drop upgrade weapon with redeploy. This is hero only, which is interesting because I would actually, like if I were to do the armorer, I'd have to say the armorer is probably neutral. Like I don't know the armorer is good or bad. There's a lot to be argued that the genealogy of the Mando covens were coverts, whatever, were probably Death Watch. So anyway, especially with the color on some of those guys, I think they were all probably Death Watch. I know that there might be comics and stuff out there that's confirmed that. My apologies. Let me know in the comments again. Either way, 1 melee, 2 melee, shield resource, and a blank with redeploy. Everybody loves redeploy. Honestly, with all the if you're running an upgrade based damage deck, with all the redeploy out there, like there's really very few reasons. I'm not saying no, but there's very few reasons to not run redeploy. Whistling Birds being one of them, right? But so after you resolve this die showing damage, you may turn a character die to any side. So we've seen that on other upgrades in the past, a lot of them being 2 or 3, and by that I mean like the FFG past. And they've seen intermittent play, and that's kind of what I expect this to see, is kind of that intermittent play. I don't see anything from CM that rotated out that this would necessarily backfill for, so it's really competing with its ARH counterparts. So we'll have to see where this one lands. All right, moving on to The Path. The art on this one is very unique, and actually I like it. Because I'm wondering, like, when I look at this, I'm like, this is actually great. This would not work on an event or something like that, but I think it's perfect for a plot. And actually, I kind of wonder if more plots shouldn't have stuff like this where it's not showing a character or an action or something happening. The plot should almost just be like, here's our battle plans or something. Anyway, right? I mean, you're limited by the art, and I get it, by what happens in the art and what the theme is. But I think this is pretty cool, right? Like, I think this really works. So anyway, the path plot include only if you have a Jedi on your team. After setup, you may choose a non-Jedi character, which means that you basically have to have a Jedi and a non-character Jedi on your team, otherwise why you run this. After setup, choose a non-Jedi character. That character is Guardian. Exhaust this plot to heal 1 damage from an apprentice or Jedi. 4/2. If you remember Valorous Tribe, yes, it let you move and then heal, but you didn't. You could have moved 0 and healed, so the least to let you heal. That was worth 3. This seems, I mean, you're not doing the moving thing, but you're healing, combined with shield wall and all that type of stuff. I think this is pretty solid. I think this is really pretty solid. I mean, Kiadi-Mundi's still a thing, right? And all that recycling, live forever, fatigue's a thing. This seems pretty decent for 2 points. I mean, again, you have to figure out how the math works with your characters, because you're going to have 2. It's going to almost certainly be maybe not middle, but like, a 17 and a 12 or something like that. I think that's probably a 17, 12, 17. I mean, again, with the math, right? You guys get me. But, does this work in like an OB, like a Racco deck? Maybe, right? But it's very, very interesting. So, and that was for you, Wook. I know Racco's your boy or your man, whatever. All right, Ned B. This guy's phenomenally good. This guy is really good, right? So 2-drop, he's unique, thank goodness, because he's really good. Support droid. Action, set this support aside to give a character 2 shields. Okay, he can blow himself up to basically relieve you if you're in the hole, but look at this guy's die. 1 gun, 2 gun, 2 gun, plus, not 2 gun, 1 gun, 2 gun, 2 melee, plus 3 melee for a resource, shield, and a blank. Whoa, bro. Whoa, that's good for 2. That's very good for 2. It's got Dark Trooper vibes, but it's like better because it's gray and it's hero limited. Whoa, bro. This card is awesome. Phenomenal. All right, so this is the Hanger Bay on G-Beam. I will, in editing, obviously turn this. So after you activate a character, you may give control of the battlefield to an opponent to deal 1 indirect to that opponent. This is super cool for battlefield bouncing. The fact that we're seeing this, I was hoping Pyre was going to get reissued. After seeing this, I suspect he won't be, because it sounds like they've probably got something else up their sleeves. We'll see if Veers can end up doing anything with this. Maybe. Because Veers is still legal for he was Redemption, so another couple sets, yeah. So this is very interesting. I don't hate this. The battlefield, I've always enjoyed. You guys know I liked Pyre. I still do. You can run this with Relentless Advance, and that's just what it seems. I mean, that's the obvious. I mean, it's not like just to me, right? Like, it's kind of the obvious thing is Veers and Pyre, and I mean, obviously Pyre may or may not be relevant, but very, very cool. Very, very cool there. Nicely done. All right, this guy made me smile so much. I was glad that this got posted just this morning so that I could include these, because I don't, I try not to steal people's thunder, but it got posted, so it's free game, baby. I'm probably going to do a whole episode on Vizago. Really happy about this guy, right? So this card's really good. Probably talk too much about it. Like I said, I'll do a whole episode, so we won't talk too long, right? But 13 health for 14/16. That's pretty high on curve. Remember what happened with Bo-Katan? At 13 health and those price points. Now, he's no Bo-Katan, but he might be, right? He's pretty good, right? So, character, leader, scoundrel, 2 gun, 3 indirect for a resource, 2 disrupt, 2 discard for an indirect, 1 resource for an indirect. That seems awful, right? Hold my beer. Blank. Okay, so after you activate this character, you may re-roll a die not showing a cost, right? So what you're trying to do is get him on his cost, because for a power action, force an opponent to pay the cost showing on one of this character's character dice. You may resolve that die without paying its cost. Okay, so just basic level, he rolls this resource, you force them to take an indirect, and you gain a resource. That feels pretty good. 3 indirect. You force them to pay a resource, and they take 3 indirect. 2 discard. You discard 2 of their cards, and they take an indirect. Whoa. Like, the worst side on this guy is the 2 gun. That's his worst side for 16 points. the 2 disrupt all day long. You'll take that, right? It forces, right? So here's the thing with him, right? I think he plays more as a control hero, right? And here's why. I think you're generally almost every time rolling this guy in first. Like your first action, you're just rolling him out, getting this 2 die in the pool, and forcing your opponent's hand, right? So you roll him out. If you don't hit a cost, you re-roll a die, you try to get a cost. If you're not on a cost, you're on the 2 gun or the 2 disrupt, neither of which suck, or you're on one of the cost, and now they've got to do something, right? They maybe they wanted to play an upgrade or get a support out or something. Well, now they better do it, right? If they're going to try and roll out and gain resources, you can't. You've got him. This guy's freaking phenomenal. I think this guy's really, really, really strong. The 13 health is fine. We'll see. I mean, again, because if he's more of a control hero, to be honest, he probably needs the extra health. So I think that's fine. The 14-16 is interesting, right? Again, compared to what we've seen in the past, but he plays very different, right? And he doesn't have troopers to back him up and all that good stuff. So this guy's really cool. I'm really excited to see what the smart kids do with this, right? It smells to me like somebody like a Beacon is going to do dirty, dirty, dirty things with this guy, right? All right, next. I have to say, flavor comment. It bothers me that the name of, because I trust that this is true. I did not know this. But it bothers me that the name of his ship is Broken Horn, right? Because, like, if you guys remember, he wasn't proud of the fact that he had a broken horn. It was like his disability, right? So it bothers me a little bit that he would name his ship that. That would be like Andrew calling my car the damaged nose or something, right? Like, anyway, just flavor comment. I think that's really weird. But anyway, so 2 gun, 3 indirect for 1, 2 shield for an indirect, resource, 2 resource for a resource, blank. Power action, spot Vizago or discard a card to resolve this die, increasing its value by the cost showing on it. Right? So now, just a reminder, power action on Vizago, force an opponent to pay the cost showing on one of this character's character dice. So this ship does not count for that, which is a bummer. Well, it's probably a good thing overall, right? But it's a bummer in terms of playing that playstyle because, again, it would give you more targets for stuff they don't necessarily want to do. Although these dice are definitely not as bad as Vizago's in terms of you having to pay to resolve it for your opponent. So very, very, very cool. All right. E851 blaster pistol. So this was when Zori got the drop on Poe, and then of course in 3 minutes, that was one of the issues with the late trilogy is it just moved way too fast. Like, oh, okay, they have a history, and then 2 minutes later we don't care about it anymore, right? Anyway, 2 resource, 1 indirect, 2 indirect plus 3 indirect, discard resource and a blank with redeploy. This very clearly is meant to go with Zori or Benthic or something like that, right? Redeploy while this upgrades on a scoundrel. You may resolve the indirect sides of this die as if they were ranged damage. Cool. Works. We'll probably maybe be running it in, I don't know. I mean, if you're I was going to say maybe run it in like the Zori Hera build, but then again, like if you have 2-drop redeploys, like aren't you probably running some of the other stuff? Like you're going to run the E Din's Blaster, you're going to run that. You're going to run Westar for sure. Yeah, very interesting. Very, very interesting. And then I think this last up. So this is Dejarik, probably saying that wrong. I actually just watched this episode with my son like 2 days ago, which is kind of fun. We're going through Rebels. You and your opponent each choose and do one of the following, starting with you. Resolve one of your dice, increasing its value by 1. Force an opponent to remove one of their dice and re-roll any number of dice. So I'll just say this reminds me, we've had several shout-outs indirectly to the old Decipher game over the last couple of sets. Right? We had like Create Dragon Bones, a couple other small stuff. I can't remember what they're off the top of my head, but this smells like it as well because that game, they did a really good job with a lot of their cards of like having games within the game. And this kind of smells the same of that to me. So I think this is really, I don't know how much play this will see, but I think it's really cool. Really cool to do all that. So anyway, that's the recap for today up to where we are as of the time I'm shooting. I'm sure more will be out by tomorrow. But either way, folks, things are shaping up to be really good. So let me know what you're thinking. Man, this ended up being pretty long, but you know what? It is what it is. So thanks, folks, again for joining me for Destiny Friday. Let me know in the comments. Are you excited? What do you think about these cards? Is Vizago as good as I think he is? I think he might be, but let me know. Anyway, folks, thanks for watching. Keep rolling threes, or 3 for ones, I guess in this case, and go Commando.